All right. Welcome back to the Applied Leadership Podcast, where we are two friends with one question, half an hour, and zero script. And as you might be able to tell if you're watching this online, we're not just friends, we're business partners. And you can tell that because we have finally recorded an episode in uniform, in the same shirt. And I got to be honest with you, Blayne, I don't hate it. I don't hate it looking alike. It's kind of neat. I feel like we're Twinkies here. Having said that, we are going to have some fun today with a little bit of a lighter question. And the question is, what's a proud moment that you can share? A recent proud moment, a recent victory, something that felt like just a mountaintop moment in your life of late. And we are recording this in the spring of 2024, if you can believe that. Goodness gracious. So, Blayne, I'm going to kick it over to you to get us started. Share a proud moment with us.
Whew, that's tough. You know how much I love public recognition too, so this is a good one for me. I'll just go with the first one that popped in my head, which is I think about being out in La Jolla late January with you, and we were presenting at a national kickoff meeting. And I remember we were pretty nervous. We had developed the topic bespoke for that client for that moment, and we'd gone up and done a really nice job at the keynote, I think. But the proud moment for me from that trip was actually not walking off the stage of the keynote. It was the next day, or maybe later that same day, when we were discussing our strategy for the coming year. And we were pretty smoked. I think we'd been in Vegas the week before, and we didn't have a ton of energy for like spreadsheets and PowerPoint slides. And I was kind of wondering like how it was all going to go, if we were going to actually get to this work, or if we were just going to kind of chat and drink coffee. And we started, let's just go back and look at what our 2023 goals were and kind of see how we did. And maybe that'll give us a little bit of momentum to get into the harder stuff. And the proud moment for me was walking around outside on the terrace with you, just kind of chatting and realizing that we had basically done everything that we had set out to do in 2023. And it took me looking back on the goals that we wrote down, the objectives we had set for the business, because we knew what the revenue number was, which was fine, and we were happy with that. But there were a number of other things that we had set out to do over the course of the year that upon reflection, we had basically done every single one of them. And I was so stoked in that moment, not just because I was proud of us and that we had accomplished our goals, which I was, but I had a moment of clarity, which was, if we put our minds to this, if we are intentional, if we are focused, if we prioritize, if we speak into language what it is we intend to do with this business, we can actually do it. And that what has happened in these first 4 or so years has not been an accident. And that realization just swelled me with enthusiasm for the year to come and what may unfold in the years after that. And it really kind of pulled me out of my slumping energy and really reinvigorated me. So that's the one that jumps to mind most recently.
Yeah, that I'm so glad you started with that. I can still feel the rain and the wind whipping as we were walking up and down it's just beautiful La Jolla hotel, and we were on that terrace, and we just kept walking back and forth on the same terrace because we had to get some bilateral stimulation, and it was just miserable weather. I mean, it was terrible weather.
Sunny Southern California.
Yeah, and John Denver's full of shit. It was it was terrible weather, but it's really fun to think about is I'll pull that forward to the next day, maybe day or two, day and a half later. I'm not really sure. But we have this picture of you and I at the Stone Brewing Company at the San Diego airport, because right after we did that, we had our deadline for our book manuscript. It was our first manuscript deadline. And we hit the deadline. And I was super proud of us that, because it was a pretty packed month. I mean, we did a week in Vegas, we did a week in La Jolla. There was something else in there that I can't recall either. I think we had another trip.
Yeah, we had
It
four
was just
things
kind
that
of,
we had to do by the end of the month. I can't remember what the fourth one was.
it was back to back to back to back, and and in the end we got the manuscript over the goal line still, and it was awesome. It was just really cool. We sat there and had a beer, celebrated, and another thing that was really exciting about that felt like a massive victory was just that it just didn't. It's like we weren't alone in it. Like our publishing company, our editors, the team over at Matt Holt Books and Ben Bella have just been incredible to work with, and they were just so enthusiastic. We got an immediate response back from Matt Holt saying like, "Great job, guys! Good way to go." I think the next day we might have posted something on social media, and just one of the things that just makes me feel so heartened is just how many people are rooting for us. And that was really fun to see. Our families were super stoked for us. They've seen us working away on this stuff. So that was a pretty proud moment. And I appreciate you bringing that one forward. And I'll bring it even further forward to where we are today, which was, when you go through the book writing process, you have a number of stage gates in the editing process. You have an initial edit, and then you have a line edit, and then you have a copy edit. And we just turned in our line edit. So we've now gone through our second round of editing with Lydia and Katie, who's the editor team. Lydia is our primary editor. And I have to confess that we got an email back, I think the day after we turned it in, and they said, "Yeah, you're good to go. Here's, we're releasing the second half of your author advance at this point." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's neat." Like,
This is actually going to happen now. They've accepted the manuscript.
I know. I was like, "Oh wow, that's pretty neat." Like, that's pretty cool. It's not like I didn't know that I just don't like actively consciously think about it. It's not like front and center on the dashboard for me. I don't know if that kind of was a nice little email surprise for you as well, but I don't know. It's kind of silly, but it felt like a real neat victory.
Every step along the way. And one of the things that I have not written in an email to the publishing team yet, but I'm super curious to know how many people hit their deadlines, basically. Because like we've made it, we're very serious about it. And I assume a lot of people are as
Yes.
well. But like we take it really seriously. We want to get, all these things in on time, all the edits done on time, the art log, the photos, like we're really serious. And you've done an amazing job, by the way, of like running down a lot of these details. And we're pretty serious about that. And I'm probably not going to ask, but I would be really curious to know, like, have we been easy to work with? Are we like, does everyone hit their deadlines? Is this normal? Or like, are most manuscripts pretty good? Or are most of them kind of like a lot of red ink? Like, I don't know that I need the validation, but I'm curious.
I need it. I don't mind saying it. I'll just say it for everybody. I don't mind public recognition and affirmation. I'll just put it right out there. And the reason why I think it's funny is because their emails back were it was almost as if there was like a surprise tone to it. Like they were like, "Awesome, great job, guys." And I do know this much: our agent Greg, who's just been amazing, and without Greg, we wouldn't even be in this position with Matt Holt and his team. Greg did shoot us a note and said, "Nice job, guys. Like, that's pretty rare." When we got the first round of edits back. So that felt like a real cool, proud moment. Let's maybe shift the aperture a little bit here. What are some other proud moments? So we've talked to some business proud moments. I want to share one other. It's a business teammate kind of proud moment, and I know that you'll join me in this. I am so proud of our teammate Sarah Holzhab. She has done an incredible job. I have had so many people share with us how there's two big things that I want to mention. Number one, the fact that she or people have shared with us, "Wow, your social media, you guys, it seems like you're like all over the place." And I'm like, That's awesome. Thank you.
That's all Sarah.
That's all Sarah. I mean, she's done such an amazing job because, I will just tell on myself candidly. I don't feel super comfortable. I don't enjoy it very much. The social media interaction. I do enjoy some of it, but without Sarah doing that, that's been great. The other thing is, just this last weekend, she silver medaled in a jiu-jitsu tournament in Atlanta that she didn't have on her radar, but her mates at the studio and her professor kind of encouraged her to do it, and she said, "All right, send me, I'll do it." And she medaled silver. Amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool to be stepping into the arena. We're all in our 40s and we're still relatively young in some ways, but we're certainly not at a place in our life where we would necessarily need to be taking on additional challenges, especially like things like jujitsu, where it's physically challenging. You're getting hurt on a pretty regular basis, and then having to step on a mat in a live competition and really put yourself out there in lots of ways. I mean, not only is it a physical challenge, but getting dominated physically in front of a large group of people is a very humbling experience. And
Very
most
humbling.
people, I mean, I know jujitsu is really taken off, but the fact of the matter is still most people have no interest in stepping out onto the mat in front of their friends and family and a whole audience of people and maybe getting your butt kicked literally in that scenario. That's daunting. And my hat's off to everybody who does that, and especially to our teammate Sarah, who's really in many ways kind of showing us the way and showing her young daughter the way. And that brings a smile to my face, every time I see that.
Well, you've just mentioned daughters. I feel like we could brag on some daughters for a little bit if you want. I mean,
Is that what we're doing?
I could do that all day.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know if I can come up with a specific moment, but I'm certainly very proud of my daughter Penny for lots of things. But one of the things that I've been most impressed with her by lately, and this is really a testament to her mother, so I guess I'm really proud of Jenny as much as anything, is she's gotten so good at, she's just really increased her awareness. So she's a very creative, very expressive kid, can have pretty high highs and low lows at times, as a lot of little kids do. And she has been really good about taking on information, trying new things out, adopting little strategies, accepting her teacher and guidance counselors and people in her life to help her smooth out the curve a little bit on some of that stuff. And not only do I think she's kind of happier and a little better balanced as a kid and is able to enjoy a kind of a higher percentage of any given day because she's, staying out of the trough a little bit, but she's just becoming, I think, such a wonderful friend and teammate. She's so empathetic and so caring and nurturing. And to see her have a willingness to take another person's perspective and to see their better angels or give someone the benefit of the doubt, I think is a skill that most of us never quite get to, even as adults. And to see a 7-year-old who can run a little hot at times start to develop the capacity for that kind of empathy and that kind of compassion is huge. So I think the self-awareness will serve her well, but I think her ability for compassion and to take another's perspective is phenomenal. And I've been so proud of her at birthday parties and other functions where she's demonstrated that. So I'm really super proud of her. And again, would have none of that if it weren't for her mother, my wife, Jenny, taking such a keen interest in that, identifying it as a challenge, working with her, giving her tons of grace and patience along the way and in the process. So those two girls have just been, it's been phenomenal to see them both grow together through this kind of process. And I feel like I'm learning and getting so much out of it, by being an active participant in their lives. It's an amazing blessing to see it all happen.
It is really cool. I mean, like, Penny is like mini Jenny. It is like the sweetest thing I've ever seen. And Jenny is just so curious and, empathetic and willing to listen. And it's so fascinating to see even all the little expressions. It's really, really neat. Really neat. I am super proud of my daughter, Ellie, and I want to brag on her for a second here. Because let's see, 2 days ago was May 7th, 2024, which would have marked the anniversary, the fifth anniversary of the STEM school Highlands Ranch shooting, which my daughter was in, as you know, Blayne. And it's been a journey. 5 years on the healing journey for Ellie. She happened to be right there where a child in front of her got shot 3 times. So this is not an abstract kind of concept. She really was in the heat of it. And I had a conversation with her on Sunday, thanks to my good friends Amy and David, who had asked me, "Have you ever considered taking her shooting?" And I said, "God, no." I mean, I basically got the guns out of my house, that we had in our house the night of, because she was so terrified of it, 5 years ago. And they said, "Yeah, you should consider that." I'm like, "Oh, I mean, I don't." Okay. So on Sunday, we were having brunch, and I asked her if she would be interested, to which I was surprised. She said yes. It's like, wow, really? Geez, gosh, now I kind of feel like a bad dad. I guess I should have asked you this earlier. She said, no, no, no. I certainly wouldn't have been ready until now, but it's something that I've thought about, and, I've talked about with professionals that it might be a good opportunity just to get a little bit exposure to it. So yeah, I would like to do that. I said, okay, well, I mean, my Tuesday's free. You wanna go out on Tuesday? She said, yep, that just so happens to be the fifth anniversary of the shooting. And I was like, what do you know? So we went out to a, national park land, a little kind of setup thing here, and open air. And she did great, man. She did so great. She got out there. She, got her awareness about her, checked things out, even asked, when different people kind of showed up. There was never more than one other group there at the range at any given point in time. And I was explaining to her, the safety protocols and ceasefires and thumbs up and going down range and all this kind of stuff. And I think it was really neat for her to experience that and see, like, oh, wow, like, there's a lot of people, like people who, are generally engaged in firearms for whatever reasons are their own reasons. They're really safe, and they take the safety part really seriously. And I think it gave her a sense of calm. And I asked her after we left, how do you feel? And she said, empowered. I feel more powerful today and less afraid of, the firearm itself. So like, man, I'm just so proud of her. Like, she has consistently exhibited the willingness to heal, to try new things, to not just, be buried underneath, her fears or grief or anxiety, which are all real. They're all rational. She's experiencing a rational response to a, irrational circumstance. And she did awesome, man. I would also have to say that I'm super proud of Kelly, because, when I explained to her, because Kelly actually was on call and she showed up because she got called in to the hospital on Sunday. And when she showed up to brunch, I shared with her that we had hatched a plan, and she was like, good, you're in good hands, Elliot. And it was just really cool because, hey, like, Mama Bear can be Mama Bear, right? I mean, she's concerned about her kiddo. And, I say this sometimes. I looked at both my girls, and I said, just want to make sure everybody knows, of all the things, that I am potentially qualified to do, this I'm really qualified to do.
Yeah.
I can run a range. We're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful, man. I'm really proud of her. I mean, she's obviously a wonderful young woman. And what that makes me think of is, just kind of this healing process. And I think we kind of stumbled upon this theme perhaps, but, whether it's letting go of something personally or mending a relationship that's been strained, or helping someone, overcome something that's been particularly difficult or traumatic. You and I are not licensed healthcare providers. We're not mental health professionals, so to speak, but we've spent a lot of time in this space. We've had our own journeys, obviously. And I'm continuously reminded, especially as it relates to my own kids, is that it's really a difficult but necessary balance to be both patient and persistent with that relationship. And when it comes to healing or mending a relationship or allowing something to process. And I don't know how to do it just right. And it's so difficult and can be so frustrating as a parent, I know, to want to help a kid who's struggling. Certainly to help them if they're struggling and you feel like you're somehow at fault, right? You want to mend the relationship and help them. It's just a natural instinct. And to not be able to just kind of snap your fingers or solve the puzzle or work really hard and do that is the greatest challenge of my life. I've done a lot of hard things, and parenting has been the most butt whooping, challenging aspect of my life. But that's the trick, and it's worth reminding ourselves of. And it's not going to go smoothly a lot of the time, but that balance of letting things happen in their due time, while also not just withdrawing or saying heck with it. That's a tough thing to do as a parent and as a person. It might even in the work life. I mean, there are some things that just need some time to marinate. And if you can figure out a way to stay connected to it and stay around it and stay available and let people know that you're still here and you still care, but you're not going to press. There's a real art to that. And I'd love any advice anybody wants to give on how to do it well.
Yeah,
but
send that to contact@appliedleadershippartners.com, please, because we want it.
Yeah. Yeah. But to see our kids, I guess the point I was making in all that was to see our kids demonstrating an ability to operate on that level and to have an awareness where they can let things develop in a mature way and still take a proactive role in it is really a cool thing to see.
It is very much. I have a question for you.
All right.
Can I brag on you for a minute?
Is this turning into like a video version of the Christmas card letter? Is that what we're doing right now?
Sure. I don't even know what that is, but maybe.
That's where you write a letter in your Christmas card and you tell all of your Christmas card recipients how awesome your family is and how everyone's crushing it on all levels in your house.
No, I don't know. But all I can't help but notice is the fact that I asked you a yes or no question. You've answered with a question.
That's all. There's your answer.
So, I'm relentless here.
Sorry, what do you have to say? We can always cut this.
Okay, that's okay. I just want to brag on you for a second. I am incredibly proud of you because you're probably one of the most humble people I've ever met. Easily. Anybody that's ever met you, anyone listening to this that knows you is going to be like, yeah, of course that checks out, right? You're a very humble guy. I'm really proud of you for how you went there with what you wrote in our book that is coming up. So the fact that you went back to 2009 and recounted an experience that, where it was all in service of articulating the book, and, the concept of the book is perseverance is greater than endurance, and how you had to persevere as a young leader in the war in Afghanistan in 2009 was nothing short of an act of pure courage. And I just I'm humbled by the fact that I have gotten a front row seat to that. And you might not remember this. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't suggest what you do or do not remember. But when you finally sent the chapter over to me, because this is how we've written the book, is, one of us will write a chapter, we'll kick it back over to the other. Obviously, chapter 2 here, which is called No One Goes Undefeated in Life, is completely your story. And I got it. And I read it, and I just had to call. I called you. I was I was choked up, like in tears, because it was just such a beautiful. It was beautiful and completely courageous, and completely, just gutsy. So I'm super proud of you, man. It was like a super, super massive victory just to see you fully commit to that process and go forward with it, because what you experienced and what you shared is. It is nothing short of heroic. So,
wow, well, I appreciate that, man. It really doesn't mean a lot to come to you, and it was hard to do. And that we tell a lot of stories. We offer a lot of anecdotes as part of our training and leadership development practice, and that's just not one that I use. I don't really go there for the purpose of business examples, and that's okay. And I'll kind of just reciprocate and say that you effectively did the same thing in chapter 9 of the book. And so you may not realize this, but the chapters that we have that are more toward the beginning of the book that talk about these kind of crucible moments that we went through during our time in uniform, the story you share is an amazing and powerful one that I think people are going to really love and get a lot out of. But you've shared that story, and it holds a little bit of a different place in your life, I think, than the one I shared. They're just sort of different in some fundamental ways.
Yeah.
And so while it was hard and we learned a lot of the same lessons, they were in some ways very, very different in terms of the way they impacted us going forward. But then we get to the last chapter of the book where we're buttoning things up, and I kind of come out of left field at the very last minute and say, I've got an idea of how I think we can end the book, and it's different than what you think. And you're like,
you said it's going to be like Easter. It's going to be like Easter.
Exactly. And
like, okay.
Surprise ending. And you not only did you embrace that as an idea and support it as a way to end the book, but then it required you to really speak to what I would say were the really true, deep, personal kind of crucible moments of your life that mostly came after taking off the uniform. And these were stories that are now kind of toward the end of the book that you have not and do not share really as part of our business practice or with friends and clients while we're on the road. And you're a great writer. You've done a lot of great writing throughout the book, but you have an ability at times to tap into this incredibly personal and vulnerable space that is also kind of universally understandable. And when you strike that chord and start writing, that stuff is absolute gold, which I think is what I sent over to you. I was like, this is effing gold. It's a beautiful place to share from. And we can't just like snap our fingers and get there. But when you get into that place, those lessons, those stories are so good. And I think people are they're gonna close the book and be like, whew. And I think that's gonna be super cool. So I hope the middle of the book is good enough for people to make it to the end, because they're gonna miss out if they don't read chapter 9.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Well, I appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you and well received, and I wouldn't have gone there without you. So Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for challenging me.
Well, I don't know. I don't really know what this episode is about. I've really enjoyed the conversation, though, and I suspect that folks will get something out of hearing two friends take a pause, and maybe the lesson of this, if there is one, is it's worth every now and then in the heat of battle to step back and to maybe demonstrate some gratitude, maybe say some things out loud that you're actually proud of and thankful for and that you appreciate about the person on the other end of the line. So this has been a fun exploration of kind of what's been going on recently in our lives and what we're proud of. And I'm not embarrassed to put it out there. So I hope someone can get something from it.
Yeah, I hope someone can get something from this too. And I think you have probably pegged it, which is, sometimes it's probably necessary and important to come up for air and just take a second and say, what am I thankful for? What am I proud of? What are some of the victories that we've hit? Because, people, we're all working hard out there. Everybody's trying their best. I just kind of have that as a default setting. People are trying their best. And sometimes, it's necessary and just really valuable just to pause and say, what am I thankful for? We did this.
Yeah.
What am I thankful for in you? What am I proud of? And this and that. And, you don't have to do it in quite a public manner as we're doing it right now. But, we would just encourage you guys to take a second, maybe. In fact, if there's a call to action here, which this is where we're going to leave it, is that here's our encouragement to you. Write down 3 things you're thankful for or proud of right now, and then maybe share that with somebody. So with that, we'll leave you guys for this episode. We really appreciate having you on board. If you have any questions, send them to contact@appliedleadershippartners.com, and we will see you on the next episode.
All right.